coming back to my channel. It's Cheska and this is Unclassified Butterfly. First of all, I'm recording this in my hotel room in Australia. Quite cold today. Temperatures around 8 to 10 degrees, dropped yesterday. And I'm here for work, so it's one of those things that I find really exciting about having my job or doing my job is because I get to travel. Well, I still can't forget that I've released Unclassified Butterfly. I was a little bit worried that it won't be received well and people might be thinking it's very selfish of me to do that. But then I realized I was really just documenting my life and my journey, and I don't want to self-impose anything. It was just what I did to kind of project manage myself. And really, this is the aftermath, me having to embrace and talk about it in a more serious way. So the topic for today, I believe, should be around not caring but you do care. So I don't know how to say that in a better way, but caring because you do want to hear other people's point of view or perception of you, and there's also a portion where you feel that you should not care enough. It depends really on who's talking, but I don't think it's kind of black and white. You still have to listen. So let me share with you a few instances, right? So maybe three. The first instance is around having people around you, maybe friends, maybe people from work, who has a clear perception of you, and it might be right, it might be wrong. It doesn't matter. Again, perception is real, and because perception is real, it's very difficult to manage sometimes, and it's all about how you really hone in on around what they're saying. I think it's not about generally that they feel bad about you, because nobody thinks of you all the time, right? So unless it's your partner or your kids, etc., they do have you at top of mind. But otherwise, people from work, really, they don't really care, or not as much. They do have an opinion on anything and everything. So the point here is that listen enough for you to be able to understand what are your tendencies and things that you actually do that affects them negatively or positively. And if it's positively, obviously continue doing it. If it's negatively, really think about it, because they wouldn't have said that unless they have been pushed. Now, second, the people that you love, right? The people that ultimately tells you who you are, what you are. And I remember my sister saying that funny thing is that when you actually try to do something different or you're into a venture, the least that, or the sad story is that it's your family and closest friends who will probably not support you right away. They are your late adopters, so to speak. They probably doubt or say certain things that will probably bring you down, and it's not making your family look bad, okay? So it's just because they have this perception of you, not just perception, because they grew up with you and they think, oh, what is she doing? What is she trying to achieve? And when I released Unclassified Butterfly, honestly, didn't get to hear anything. And that's fine, because it leads to the third point. What do you think of yourself? Or who do you think you are? And this I think is the most important of all of the three. It's what's happening in this head. Like, how do you manage what's going on there? Because whatever it is in your head, it's a projector, right? So it happens. Whatever you conceive here, it happens. So because it happens, it's very difficult to really stand firm if you know that you doubt yourself, or you weren't prepared enough for a meeting or a presentation, or when you're meeting with friends, you just happen to have this perception that they will question you or judge you. So they do, because you've put them in that spot. So I would say the tip to manage all that is, it comes back to the inner core, the way you see yourself. And you have to really psych up yourself to really think very, very deeply of who you are. And you might not be able to discover everything that you think you are or who you think you are, but at least one by one you know what's right or wrong, or what you think of yourself. To some extent, there was someone who told me that the best way to do that is to find out what you don't like, because that you're sure. What you like may not be necessarily clear. So what you just have to do is, dissect all that and clearly understand what you really want or who you think you are. So the first tip again, and the only tip that I can give you, is manage what's happening in this head. The moment that you realize that you're very clear what you don't like, you will then get closer to what you like. So I would say sometimes that it's not about not caring, it's about thinking whether what you're doing and the tendencies or the habits that you actually express to people is exactly what's happening in this head. And therefore, if it's wrong, you can always correct. Again, most of them will only share with you what they see, right? And even if it's relative, even if it was good or hurt them, it's all about what you are trying to do in your head, and then you're expressing it. We're all creatures of habit. So when you continue to tell yourself that you're never going to be good enough, then obviously you're never going to be good enough. But if you continue to tell yourself you're good enough, now it's not about being arrogant and telling yourself you're good enough when you don't have the competency or the smarts to get it executed. Then I would say don't say anything, but or at least start working on it. So remember, you are not a prisoner. You only imprison yourself in what you project in your head. Does that make sense?